Okay, so you've got product roadmaps that ship on time, but don't move the needle on client retention or conversion, marketing campaigns that are firing on all cylinders, but aren't generating pipeline, or maybe your plan from the big strategy offsite last year, it sounded great, but it hasn't turned into what you envisioned. What's happening? Well, there's a good chance it's because all of these things aren't incorporating a crucial dynamic that is routinely overlooked into your operations, and that leads to wasted investments across all of your business. What's missing? The buying dynamics. It's the nuanced way that your market actually prefers to transact, and it's not showing up in your product design, your marketing language, your org chart, or anything else. So what this means is the place where it all happens. In other words, where prospects turn to clients, where they give you the dollars that fuel your business, it goes ignored by product leaders, by marketing leaders, by the C-suite, who comes up with great sounding plans. And I'm sure they're great plans, but they're investing significant time and funds without seeing the kinds of returns that the business needs. And that's why I run a structured exercise with clients that connect those buying dynamics to every function in the business. Think of it like deal qualification, but instead of looking at a singular sales opportunity, we look at the vast majority of buying patterns at large. Now, we use MEDDPICC, yes, the sales qualification framework, to analyze the buying behaviors of your target market. And of course, instead of going in the order of the acronym, we follow the natural flow of how buying patterns typically unfold. Now, we consider your ICP or your target segment, those buyers who represent 80 to 90% of your business, or the kind of business that you want to break into but just haven't yet. We start with I, the identified pain. So what is the specific business problem or challenge that creates an urgent need for a solution? Then M, the measurable upside of solving that problem. What's the revenue lift or the cost savings? And then we go to C, who is the champion? What team or role or title within the organizations you sell to are typically selling you internally? Who is advocating for you when you're not in the room? And also, who's helping you navigate the buying process by bringing you important intel that others might not surface? One of those key points of intel being the next C, competition. What are you really up against? Other vendors, organizational complacency and status quo, building in-house. Then we get to D, the decision criteria. What are the top 3 things that influence a go or no-go decision, not just with you, but any of the competitive options? And if you're completely honest, are you the best option in the consideration set when it comes to those decision criteria? If you had to pick 1 or only 2 or 3 of these dynamics to differentiate on, does your product nail this? Does your marketing speak to it? Are you staffed with the right number of people with the right skills to deliver on those points of differentiation or your market's decision criteria? Then we go to the decision process, the second D. Who are all the stakeholders involved? What's the real path to moving forward in approval? Is it consensus? Is it top-down mandate? What are the politics? What are the timelines on a decision and a launch? What are the budget allocation considerations? And speaking of budget, we go to the E. Who is the one person who can say yes? Everybody else can say no, but who's the one person that can say yes to allocating budget to you? What do they care about? Does your product, does your messaging, your pricing, does everything speak to this? Finally, P, the papering process. What are the contracting and the legal and privacy and compliance issues that matter? And are those things being surfaced throughout your operation to make sure that you're accounting for them and that you can grow accordingly? So now, here's what we typically see. If an organization's growth is unsatisfying, I can almost always run this process and find disconnects between what surfaces here and how the organization is operating. It's the same way how you can run deal qualification on a lost deal and almost always surface clarity on why the deal was lost. Let's discuss a real example. So I recently ran this with a client who has an incredibly compelling product to a very real and pervasive problem. It's just that the growth has been less satisfying than the CEO would like. What did we find? The problem they're solving is huge, and it still isn't being effectively solved by any of the incumbent approaches. So the pain point is very, very real. Yet despite having compelling tech to effectively solve the problem, they're not crushing it on any of the 3 important decision criteria that are most crucial in the decisioning process. Now, while organizationally, they resonate with and they've got great relationships with the part of their organizations they sell to that are their champion, what we realized is they have almost no connection to the economic buyer, not in their marketing, not in how the product manifests, not in their go-to-market and their sales. We also found that while they non-debatably outperform all the other approaches to solving the problem, in other words, their competition, they absolutely crush it, they check that box. When I asked, well, given the average upside that you deliver in working with you over the course of a fiscal year, what does that represent in dollars? They weren't able to answer the question then and there. They could calculate it, and they will, and they did quickly. But no one had it yet. And that means that it certainly wasn't being used in their go-to-market. Their product team wasn't even clear on it either. Now, lastly, we realized a very crucial commercial nuance, something surfaced as part of examining the papering process. There was a massive speed bump to growth. Now, this isn't a product issue. It's not a sales issue. It's more about commercial partnership terms that need to be ironed out between their clients and their clients' clients. And that impacted how it is that budgets were being allocated to them. So when we looked at all this, we find that despite having an amazing solution to a very real problem that outperforms all the other solutions, there are significant disconnects between how their market wants to buy and how they operate organizationally across product and marketing and staffing and hiring plans and strategy. So of course their growth is not optimal. Now, this was the CEO's leadership team, unclear on what really drove buying decisions in their category. Or rather, it took us facilitating this process to surface what they already know about buying dynamics, but what they didn't realize about how disconnected it was from their operation. Lastly, we left this exercise not just with clarity, but with a set of very specific actions to take to impact the remaining quarters of this fiscal year, as well as actions to take to unlock real growth next fiscal year. Now, if your product team is shipping features and clients aren't being retained and marketing is active but pipeline is light and your strategy sounds compelling but progress feels slow, reach out and we'll facilitate this process for you at your next executive offsite. You can give it a shot yourselves, but we inevitably find that it's not as effective unless you have a third party from the outside who has the boldness to question when you're drinking your own Kool-Aid, to push deeper on surface answers that don't add up. And this is just one of many structured high-impact exercises we use to tie strategy and execution to growth. So if this sounds compelling, message us now before you forget for a no-pressure exploratory chat, or share this video with others in your org who might be in a better position to bring us in to help you out.